Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we have an interesting video. It's going to be kind of a chit chat because I was very interested about a story that came up in the last couple of weeks. There's this girl who has been trending / been almost cancelled from the face of the earth because she decided to start posting about her tread wife life. If you don't know what a tread wife is, it is basically a woman who chooses to lead a very traditional life with her husband. So she stays at home, she doesn't go out without her husband during the evening. She cooks for him, cleans for him, dresses for him, and this just made people go crazy. So I thought it would be kind of a great link to something else that has been on my mind for a while now, which is the question, is traditional femininity dead? We shall find out together. Before I start, I want to, of course, put the little disclaimer that seems to be so necessary nowadays. I am not criticizing anyone for not being the exact model of femininity that I have in my mind. There are a lot of ways to be feminine. What is traditionally feminine in one country or one region is very different from another. And I am not saying that one is better than the other or that one is more womanly than the other. It's just a discussion, just some reflections about where we are in the world right now. Thinking about this video, thinking about what I wanted to say, I came to the conclusion that traditional has sort of become a dirty word. I feel that in a lot of circles, you have this idea that being revolutionary, that being progressive, that just changing everything around you is always positive. So when we talk about traditional femininity, we're basically saying that it is something passé, that is something that should stay in the past, that it's something that hasn't caught up with the times, which I think can be a little bit unfair. I am a traditionalist. You look at me, you watch my videos, I mean, the cat is out of the bag. I do think there is a point to conserving certain things. I think it's important to, instead of destroying the fence, wondering why it's been put there in the first place. So when we talk about destroying tradition or shaming traditional people into progressive submission, I see that there's a problem there. But are we going to pretend that all of the progress related to feminine power and empowerment was in vain? No, of course not. Of course not. It was so important, and it made what we are today. First with the suffragette movement, with voting rights and property rights. Then second wave feminists kind of claiming and pointing out the importance of our place in the workforce, in academia, in society in general. Also shedding light into legislation that was really unfair, especially regarding, for instance, domestic violence. Those fights were important and they needed to happen. But I do think that we came to a point now that things are kind of getting out of control, where feminists themselves cannot come to an agreement, where we don't give the same amount of respect to a woman's choice if that choice is to stay at home, is to be with her children, almost as if there is a better type of woman that you need to want to be, and the more domestic one is an inferior version, if you will. I honestly feel very bamboozled by our culture. For most of my life, I believe that I have been very persuaded and very influenced by three things that came from our culture. Number one, kids. They are annoying, they are a nuisance, they are just trouble waiting to happen. If you want to feel fulfillment, if you want to have a career, kids will get in your way. They are a pit of money. They keep women from reaching their goals and from achieving financial independence, and they will rob you of your best years and will simply limit the ways you can self-express. Number 2, marriage is a silly social construct that holds no true value to society. If you get married, you believe in this silly bourgeois idea of what love is. True love doesn't need to be defined by any terms. Marriage is just this provincial idea of what a family should look like. It's repressive, it's unnatural, it kind of goes against our human desires, which doesn't make any sense because we shouldn't control those, right? Puts at risk all of the sexual liberation we fought for years. And if you feel terrible after a one-night stand, it's not because you devalued yourself, it's because you have this internalized idea of being inferior to men somehow. And number 3 is a combination of both. Stay-at-home mothers are a joke. They are basically women with no ambition. They don't want anything for themselves. They try to find happiness and fulfillment by serving other people. And at the end, we're just talking about repressed, shallow women who just want to stay at home and don't want to fight the fight. What a load of crap. Oh my God, how arrogant can a person be, especially when she's young and she knows nothing about life? Right here. In my defense, I did grow up in the 2000s, 2010s, and the idea of what a happy girl was, be it in the movies, in TV, in magazines, books, was just someone who lived life for herself. Sometimes she did get married, but not before going on an array of dates with a bunch of random guys and having sex on the 3rd date because it takes 3 to actually know a person and have any type of intimacy with them. The backdrop was always a very glamorous job that paid a lot of money for not a lot of skill. Instead of a family, her safe harbor was always a group of girlfriends who magically never moved on with their lives. They were always in the same stage together. Always a well-decorated apartment with a closet full of designer accessories, which makes no sense because a person that age would never have the amount of money to pay for that rent. So it is just a bunch of lies. And we grew up thinking that that was possible and that that was doable, and that is what we needed to want. And it wasn't until I sort of matured and honestly distanced myself from this very materialistic culture that I understood it didn't make sense and how it affected me and the way that I looked at the world for so long. I mean, maybe now I'm a prude, maybe I've just become too conservative, but are we sure that we want to teach our girls that the path to happiness is to sleep with a bunch of guys? You're gonna think I'm so old, but I have been seeing a lot of content on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, a lot of podcasts with younger girls, just to understand their thought process and their reality. And I mean, they actually say these words: if I don't sleep with a guy, another girl will, and he will just toss me aside. How is that empowering? How is that giving our girls the self-worth that they deserve? Someone explain it to me. And for the topic of stay-at-home moms, I think I felt this way because of all of the women in my life. My mom always worked, my aunts always worked. They were always adding a little bit of income to the household, but it's because it was necessary. I am sure that my mom would have loved to spend more time with me. And as I grew older and got to know some stay-at-home moms, can I just say you are awesome? You are absolutely essential and your job is tough as nails, and I'm really glad that there are people who are brave enough to make the choices that you have. We spent a lot of time in the last century talking about acceptance, talking about tolerance, and talking about empathy. And it's like we learned nothing. It's as if we have a maximum of those feelings that we can feel for certain people, and to other people who we don't think are worthy of them, we just treat them like trash, basically. And I'm not saying this to play the victim card. I know there are people in the world who are persecuted for their lifestyles and their life choices. I know people are dying, I know people are starving, but we have to admit that in Western society, women who want to lead a more traditional life are kind of pariahs nowadays. They're sort of seen as lesser than, like a bit of a betrayal to the gender, if you will. It's that look of pity / disappointment when you say you cannot go out for drinks because your husband is waiting for you to get dinner at home. It's that side eye when you say that Valentine's Day is romantic and you should plan for it. It's that expectation of total care and sensitivity when the words are coming out of your mouth, but when they drop things such as marriage is stupid in a conversation, you can't complain. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone else. But if you're going to claim to be understanding, if you're going to claim to be compassionate, if you're going to claim to be accepting and tolerant, be it. You know what I mean? Just like traditional, it has become a dirty word. I'm not saying that your appearance should count more than the content of your character. And I don't think that by dressing a certain way, a girl is asking for it. Absolutely not. That is not what I'm talking about here. But as time has gone by, I think we have desensitized a lot of what it means to show your body and to dress, especially if you're trying to be a little bit more sultry and, you know, be a bit more attractive. It's like everybody's naked all of the time. And since everybody's naked all of the time, everybody also has to look a certain way. Everybody has to have a beautiful, perfect body. Girls are feeling awkward if they don't look picture perfect. And then on the other side, we have boys who just get catered to and have access to bodies all of the time. And they just feel like that is what a woman is supposed to look like. They think that that is how a woman should act. And we get into this dysfunctional yet symbiotic cycle of men who want easy, perfect looking women, and of women who want men, so they feel like they need to basically be naked all of the time and lower their standards. If we had a little bit more modesty in the way we dress, in the way that we have relationships with each other, wouldn't that just sort of set the bar a little bit higher, in the sense that, no, I'm not going to do what you want. You're going to be worthy of me doing what I want for you. I'm trying not to be too crass here, so hopefully you know what I'm saying. In those same videos, same podcasts as I was talking about before, I can see that the girls are just acting this way and dressing this way to get boys. If that is feminism, if having an OnlyFans account as a goal of your life is feminism, something went very wrong with the feminist movement. I'm sorry. I'm going to get crucified for this, but I don't care. I think we've reached the point where if we don't start saying certain truths, it's just going to be impossible to go back. So to answer the question, do I think traditional femininity is dead? No, I don't think it is, and I don't think it will ever be. Maybe for some women it is off-putting, maybe for some women it is just sort of a defeat in their eyes, but to some it is still the dream life. And there are so many ways you can go about it. I mean, I work, but I'm married. I have a friend who is a stay-at-home mom, but she's very progressive. I have friends who don't have any of these things and are happy. But as true feminists, I think it is important for us to be honest and to accept the fact that we have to respect each other's choices. Then if we want to discuss solutions to problems, if we want to understand the reason why certain things happen, we can have an actual honest conversation. But until we get to that point, we're just kidding ourselves. This is it, everyone. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's keep it respectful. I know it's a polarizing subject that can bring up a lot of feelings and a lot of hate. So let's just do it calmly, like the ladies that we are. I do want to come from a place of constructive commentary and not just going against the grain and being polemical. That is not the intention of this video. But as I said, I think it is important to have a different point of view out there so that if a girl is listening to this, she will know it is normal to want to get married and have kids. That is not a problem. That is a great thing to do. See you guys next time. Bye bye.